OnSiteBroadcast.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcall.dt. Proud to be hanging out with you inside of the Travel Cafe Kubal Studios, and we're here at PB&J's Lunchbox. Very happy to be broadcasting live on site, on location, and we thank you for being here, of course, on mixlr.com, youtube.com, and facebook.com, all /wakeupcall.dt, every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I am joined by my very special guest today, Corey Fonseca. And Corey, you and I have had the opportunity to do shows before, but never like this.
Yeah, never live. We did a phone call, so it's a little less personal that way. So it's great to be here in person.
So we have the opportunity to speak on a lot of different things. Obviously you've been at OCC, you have played soccer coming up. Coaching is normal to you when it comes to the world of soccer. And as the Soccer Shots of Syracuse director, as well as the new FM Hornets boys soccer head coach, we have a lot to get into. Very community-based. So local coach, locally raised, at a local business, promoting what it is to be a Central New Yorker and to be successful here in the community. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks again.
Yeah, absolutely. And to those of you that are mad at me, this D hat actually says Dan the Man on the back of it, so this is from the lady. So, But you are a Cowboys fan?
I am. I was confused. I did think that was a Duke hat at first, so I was a little worried that you were wandering around Syracuse with a Duke hat on, supporting them in the Final Four, but no, at least it's a Cowboys.
Listen, I'm an impartial broadcaster, and when I'm on the air, I say who I think is going to win. I said I'm not surprised at all if we see Duke in the Final Four, knowing that it's Coach K's last year. It'd just be all too poetic. But I will tell you that no part of me owns anything Duke-related.
That's the only Duke thing I have. I have a book, a Mike Krzyzewski book from long ago that I think is one of the best reads that I've had as far as, learning some things about one of the great coaches. So okay. I will say that I support Coach K. I'm happy that he's there. It's at least the 1 year where we don't have to root because Syracuse didn't make it there, but unfortunately. But so I'd like to see Coach K do it, but it is what it is. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll definitely see what happens. I'm okay with Villanova making me right. So, Jay Wright making me right is okay with me. It's the only thing about my bracket that's not in red. So I had Villanova go all the way to the championship. I wanted Gonzaga versus Duke. I was concerned about that game. I'm a little happy I didn't have to watch it. I'm also sad that I didn't get to watch it because, Arkansas bumped out Gonzaga, which, shout out to the Razorbacks. But is this NCAA tournament, I love upsets every year. Pretty much every single year, I picked the upsets. When Syracuse made it back in 2016, that was the year where I picked I think that was like the Hawaii year and all. I picked things that you wouldn't believe. I picked 14 seeds, 13 seeds, 10 seeds, 12, my bracket, and people were like, there's no way you had all 3 of those or all 4 of those, but I did. This year, I said take the seeding numbers out because I thought this more than any year was going to be the year of it doesn't matter who you are, and it rung true for that. And then secondly, it also, as much as this was the year of the upset and the year of confusion for a lot of people, it was also the year where the Final Four ended up still being the usual suspects.
It is funny how that shakes out that way, but I love college basketball also. I'm a soccer coach. I've done that. But I did play a ton of basketball growing up. I still love basketball. So this time of year, I love it. There's a lot of things going on. There's golf starting back up. There's all these things. But the NCAA tournament is definitely still one of my favorite weekends.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. There's been traditional players that have made it, but you look at North Carolina. It's not like they had a traditional North Carolina year. They had, to come from an 8 seed and win some game. They had to beat Baylor, who was a 1 seed. But I think when it gets down to it, we love upsets in the beginning of the tournament because it makes it exciting. Yeah. But truthfully, we want to see the big dogs at the end of it. In the Final Four, the Elite Eight. We want to see those teams that are going to be, the ones that we know a little bit more about.
I think it gives some safety blanket of peace to people to go, oh, okay, it's Kansas. Oh, okay, it's North. If you look at it, your head says Jay Wright, Coach K, Bill Self, Roy Williams, but it's Hubert Davis now. And what I love about Hubert Davis is when North Carolina won to advance to the Final Four, he cried, just openly wept immediately after everything happened and the zeros are on the board. And I love the fact that he said, talk to them. And the broadcaster, she keeps asking questions. And he's like, go talk to the kids. Talk to my kids. And I love that side of it. I love that Roy Williams was in the crowd, which I think is great. And I've gotten to interview Roy Williams in person. I've gotten to interview him over the phone. And I've gotten to talk to him man-to-man at NBA Summer League in Orlando when he had just come out of knee surgery, and we just got to spend some time. And I, went up to him, and I was like, hey, I don't want to bother you. Like, I know you're just kind of here relaxing, whatever. But I really wanted to let you know, I've talked to you on the phone. I don't know if you remember me, but I respect you. I appreciate you. And he was so kind, and we're talking about his knee surgery. And then I'm thinking, okay, because in my brain, I'll talk to anybody. I mean, I don't have an ego, and you make time. But with, the world of entertainment that sports is a part of, sometimes you think I don't want to bother them. He was in no rush. Yeah. He's like, oh, Dan, thank you so much. He's like, you have yourself a great day. He didn't rush me away, and I was like, wow, I really like talking to Roy. And I was openly, sad when he just out, because we did a post-game press conference on Zoom, and then he, shortly after that, was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
And there was no preparation for that for me to be, ready to say goodbye. And that, to me, was you feel spoiled to talk to Roy Williams, and then all of a sudden he retires, and you're like, wait a minute, I don't get to talk to him every year? So
yeah. I don't think a lot of these coaches make it as far as they do unless they're incredible people. Yeah. They have to have a great understanding of communication. They have to be good at developing relationships. All that stuff is what helps them in recruiting. Sorry, I'm laughing at your breakfast sandwich. But I don't think that they make it as far as they do unless they really are good at developing relationships, understanding that people are just working to do what they need to do to make it successful for themselves. So, yeah, I think I would be shocked if most of these coaches that you have spoken to over the years are not great communicators and great people.
Yeah, and laughing that I'm eating on the air, I can't help myself. So, PB&J's Lunchbox is known for the grilled peanut butter and jelly. They're known for their lunches. They're known for their dinners. But what people don't know is you can get your butt over here and get some breakfast. And that is, to me, it's the key ingredient because it's wake-up call. And so the morning stuff, the morning sandwich, that's how we do it. And so for me, I think that, it's important to let people know, not only do I like it here, but you can come here and get some breakfast. Yeah, you should come here and get some breakfast. You can come see some familiar faces to Corey and I, and, Pat and I talk about it. And then you think about, places to go and grab a good breakfast sandwich. There's not a lot of places, right? You go down to New York City, and it's, on every other block. But you come to get a breakfast sandwich in central New York, and it's where do I go? So I think that it's important for me to show y'all that you can come out here, and it's also an excuse for me to get to eat on the air, which I don't typically do.
Yeah, you could go to some big chain restaurant or something like that, obviously, but it's not as easy to find a local place that has good food and is quick and all the things that you would expect out of breakfast. So, yeah, I love PB&J's, and I have a little interesting connection here too. So, my mom working in the back over there, supporting, friendly face.
Can we shout her out?
Yeah, of course. Dawn in the back over there.
Yeah.
Smiling and laughing.
I was going to say, when you come to PB&J's, it feels like your mom's making your sandwich, but your mom is making your sandwich.
It really is making my sandwich, yeah, and pouring the coffee, so it's just like home.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing to have that community connection, and it's really cool to come in here and have your mom say, oh, you got to see what my son's doing. He's doing this, that, and the other. And I'm like, yeah, Corey's has been on the show, and she's like, well, he's kind of quiet to himself. And it was funny, we were sitting right here, and I said, I'm going to text him right now, and she goes, well, we'll see if he'll go for it. I'm like, Corey, you want to be on the show? Immediately. Yeah, what time, what day? And I was like, I think we're okay, Mom. I think we're going to be all right.
I felt the pressure. I knew you were here, so I was worried that maybe they'd start yelling at you or something like that if I didn't agree. But, I'm a more of a little bit under the radar kind of guy, but I don't mind doing these things when I need to,
Well, and the thing is, from the moment that I met you and we connected, you've always been great about making time. which I think, you talk about coaches being good communicators and, coaches over time caring enough to do something, but you're a part of that world. You may not think it, but, you're a coach. In any respect, Coach K, Roy Williams, Jim Bay, you're a coach. You're in the world of coaching. And in my world, you guys are all on a level playing field. I don't see, okay, so this guy's a level 1, this guy's a level 5. I don't see it like that. I see it as you're all trying to help people on and off the fields and courts of life. You're trying to build good young men and young women. And it goes so much farther than I think you guys even see it go, especially when I get to talk to parents. So thank you for what you do, because I know you don't think of it like that, but you should think of it like that, because you're directly responsible to the future of our world either being really good people or not so good people, and you have an effect on that. So thank you for that.
Well, I appreciate that. I don't know that I would call myself anywhere like a Coach K or Roy Williams or something like we were talking about.
You live in the coaching world, you're a coach.
Yeah.
You live in the coaching world, you're a coach.
Take it.
Just like I look at, Chef Ramsay and I look at Pat. So,
I'm not a Chef Ramsay.
well, she doesn't yell, and they also don't make scallops here, so we don't have to worry about that. But and I think, and Pat's been on the air, but I want to give a shout out to Sue, because, and I'm going to keep saying her name until she turns around, but Sue's the behind the scenes, right? She's always the behind the scenes lady. Pat doesn't mind being on the air. And then I turned on the camera and I said, Sue, let's do something. And she was like, absolutely not. So I have to shout out Sue as well, because there's unsung heroes in our community. And that's what I was saying to your respect, but to Pat and Sue and to your mom, to everybody that's here, the last 2 years especially, the people that actually get up, want to go to work, earn $1, and care about building, we have to thank you, because anybody in the last 2 years could have just quit and stayed home, and you didn't.
Yeah. Well, thanks again. I mean, I don't know what else to say to that, but
I appreciate it.
I appreciate it too.
I'm going to keep saying that we thank you until you say you're welcome. That's how.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
That's how it works. So that's how we're taught at Our Lady of Pompeii, right? Please and thank you. So
I told you I don't remember any. I mean,
you don't remember it. I
I
remember it because
then.
my teachers are still connected with me. Shout out to, and I know we had a conversation of the lady across the street, but Mrs. Kuno, Mrs. Jacks, Mrs. Anderson, Miss Franco. I'm trying. There's one that she changed her name to a married name, and it made me forget immediately. But to literally my favorite of all time human being, my Feeney, because I live in a Boy Meets World. So Tom DeSantis, who just had a birthday, happy birthday. But in my phone, he is Feeney D. He's not Mr. D. So to my Feeney, Mr. DeSantis, to my role model, my mentor, my teacher, and to this day, the only person that I would have ever had, if I could go back in time, he had to tell me when both of my grandfathers passed.
Oh, wow.
And so I still remember those days of him taking me out of class to talk to me. So Mr. D is the best.
Yeah, I think he is one of the few people that I do remember a little bit, and it's a bit of an odd memory.
Okay.
But,
tell me, can you tell us the memory?
I think he's...
Is it appropriate?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
He's, for whatever reason, he is the person that I can remember. When you're working with young kids, I work with young kids all the time too, and I'm sure, we can talk about that a little bit more.
Keep talking, I'm going to eat while you talk.
I don't know why this stands out in my head, but I remember him being the first person to try to get us as a group. He was, presenting to a group of us, and I was probably in kindergarten or first grade or something like that, the first person to try to distract us by having us pat our head and rub our stomach at the same time. You know how you have little kids and you'll say, oh yeah, try to do a circle and rub your stomach and pat your head at the same time. I don't know why that memory is in there of Mr. DeSantis, but that is the only thing that I can recall pretty much from Our Lady of Pompeii, is that very odd memory.
I'm going to say something to you. I'm going to see if you remember this. Let's see if I can kickstart your memory. Eyes up. You remember that?
I do not.
He would walk into a room and say, eyes up, and everybody had to stop and just stare, literally, forward, you were afraid to look you couldn't look at him. I still remember he came on the bus one day, and there was a kid. We were right in the front of Our Lady of Pompeii. So, as you know, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, it's where sports meets life. So we talk about everything, and we're here at PB&J's Lunchbox in Liverpool. But the buses literally, we're coming out of school, buses parked right in front of Our Lady of Pompeii. Kid on the bus, I know his name, I won't say it. And he was being a problem. And he was being a problem for all of us. And we were kind of just like, okay. So the bus driver's not leaving. And I'm thinking, all right. So then the bus driver, just kind of squeaks and stays. And now a few minutes go by. And now like 10 minutes go by. Now you know something's going to happen. So now you see walking out by himself like the OG that he is. This man's a gangster of all sorts. Here comes Tom DeSantis walking out, and our principal at the time walks out to the bus, quiet. And he's short. And he walks out. I still can smell his cologne getting on the bus right now. He gets on the bus. He sees everybody. He looks at us. We're all sitting down. He goes over to this kid. He goes, stand up. And the kid looks at him, and he goes, stand up. And the kid was like, no. He grabs him. Kid's more than a head taller than him. Lifts him off the ground by his collar, and he says, get off my bus. Lets go of him, and would not move the bus until the kid got off the bus.
And from that day on, he was a legend.
And there's so many. I remember one day he said eyes up, and my friend Matt Olmstead made me laugh. And as I had my eyes up and he's walking by looking at the tables, milk comes dripping out of my nose, and I'm like, what do I do? Do I wipe it? What do I do? Can I breathe? Like, you never knew what to do when he said, and it was dead.
That's funny.
So he goes to Bishop Grimes. He says, eyes up, walks into the cafeteria, and this is like, 5-6 years ago, and he walks into the room, and they keep talking, and I'm looking at him, and he's on the microphone, and I'm like, do you want me to say something? Like, I have the broadcasting voice where I can't whisper. I was like, do you want me to? Because I know who he is, but they don't know who he is.
Yeah,
and he says like 3 times, eyes up, can I have your attention, please? And I was like, oh, y'all are about to get murdered. like this, and I'm going to watch. Like, I'm okay with this. So, but they didn't get it, and it also goes to show like where kids are these days. I feel like discipline kind of goes out the window sometimes. So I'm excited to talk with you about becoming a coach at FM because, education's important there. There's a prestige that goes to that. And there's, a bright future for you that when you say eyes up, maybe they'll stop and listen.
I don't know. I don't know that I'll use the words eyes up.
Can you be a disciplinarian?
I think I can.
Okay,
I know.
you think you can.
I'm pretty confident in that. I think.
Does Mom think you can be? Yeah. Okay, she thinks so.
My mom raised me as the ultimate disciplinarian over there. She was a tough mom for sure. She had to be. She had 3 boys, so
I can tell you from the time that I've spoken with your mom, I would never want to be in your house and get in trouble.
Yeah, she was tough. She was tough.
Because she's super nice to me, and she's always like, Dan, how you doing? How's everything? And then I'm always like, I don't ever want to cross that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we talk about Our Lady of Pompeii, and I'm like, there was as kids growing up, your parents weren't the only disciplinarians. Like, if you were acting out, there was, like, the justice that the school can take to be like, knock it off, right?
Yeah.
And now I feel like that's obviously different, but you're a disciplinarian, so that's a good thing.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I like we talked about before, you have to find a way to develop relationships when you're coaching. So I think there are times where discipline is obviously important.
Yeah.
And then there's other times where you can go about it a different way. So, you talk about how things have changed with the younger kids. He's walking in and saying eyes up and not getting the response you would expect. I think it's because people do change, and, you have to communicate differently with different types of people. So, when you find a group that maybe doesn't respond to certain things, or even maybe not a group, an individual, you have to find a way. And that's the trick as a coach. You have to be a communicator with a group, but you also have to be a communicator with 25, 30, 35 individuals and find a way to make an impact. So, yeah, I think there are definitely times for discipline, but there's times for one-on-one conversation. There's times for empathy. There's times for a lot of different things that are important when it comes to coaching kids. And, that's as much as they look like adults when they become, 16, 17, 18. It's they're very much kids. They need guidance in different ways sometimes.
How do you master the art of having to coach when you have 20, 25, 35 kids, how do you master the art of having to coach? Let's say if some of them can be coached the same way, let's take 30 and let's just say 6 different ways. How do you find a way to know, okay, these 5 kids I can talk to like this, these 5 kids I can give tough love, these 5 kids I got to sit with for an hour, these 5 kids I can sometimes push them a little bit, but in practice I got to kind of pull them aside because they don't like to be made an example of. How do you balance all that?
Well, there's no mastering, I don't think. So I think it's just every year you hopefully get a little bit better at it. And, you know, again, like we said, people are going to change and you're going to find something new every single year that you're in coaching. But I think a big key is, you know, my friends and I, and it's kind of a common term, I think, in coaching, is the 5-minute manager.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's the little 5-minute conversation before practice, after practice, at the water break, you know, whenever it might be, that is just the, how can I get to know this person a little bit better in this couple of minute opportunity that I have? So, you know, in my last position at OCC, it's, you know, how's class going? What's going on at home? You know, we had a ton of international students, so I'm always like checking in on mom and dad at home because I'm not seeing those people at the games or anything like that. So, you know, it's you got to be a good 5-minute manager for sure, for personality reasons, for getting to know them, for making sure that they understand where you're at and you're understanding where they're at. It's just, it's constant communication. You know, I mean, that's definitely the key.
You know, and having that constant communication, how did you become a good communicator? What would you attribute that to?
I have no idea. I don't know. You know, you put yourself in a position. I started coaching when I was pretty young. I mean, I was coaching camps as still a high schooler, and, you know, I can thank, like, my local high school coaches for giving me those opportunities too. You know, I went to Chittenango High School, so
yeah.
I'm close by. So, you know, John Clancy was our basketball coach, and I had a few different soccer coaches. Brian Thomas, who's still there right now, his first year was my senior year of high school. So he's probably, you know, if he ever sees this, he'll laugh, and I'm sure he's laughing at the, you know, the articles and things. But you know, those people that were along the way, that even as, you know, 10th grader, 11th grader, working summer camp and working with younger kids, that it all started back then, right? You're getting in front of the group, you're trying to find a way to communicate with younger kids, to share your experience.
Yeah.
And you just hopefully get a little better every year. And then when I was in college, I was doing some coaching. You know, I started as just a volunteer working with SUNY Cortland. So it was the low end of the totem pole. You know, you're doing everything that nobody else wants to do and just working your way up from there. So it's been it's always a process. I hope tomorrow I'm a little better than I am today at it, and I know for sure that I'm better today than I was, you know, a year or two ago.
You know what it takes, though, to come up the ranks, right? I mean, it doesn't just happen overnight, and that is such a beautiful testament to you really loving what you do, right? You can't, PB&J's Lunchbox starts with a food truck. It's not just all of a sudden a cafe. My company turns 10 this year. When I started it, I always tell people I took the air in front of my face and with God's help molded thin air, because there was literally nothing. It was, how are you going to get on the air? What are you going to do? Like, there was no blueprint. So you being a coach, like you said, you start as, you don't make anything, you're volunteering, you're doing this, you're probably doing 100 different jobs getting paid nothing. So it's the beauty of seeing how a company, how a coach, how, you know, a show can evolve, and how you really honestly have to fall in love with it. So now being a desirable head coach, how do you look back on that and say, I was volunteering, doing it for the love of the game, and now I still love the game, and here I am with an opportunity to have a prestigious program in my grasp?
Well, I'm sure you've heard of imposter syndrome. I mean, I think
imposter syndrome. Okay.
I think everybody that is working their way, you're like, man, what happened? How did I get myself to this point? But, you know, again, like you just said, working different jobs, making it happen, piecing it together. You know, when I first started, I'm working a part-time job at Best Buy, selling TVs during the day, and then coaching at night. And then I moved back into Syracuse, and doing some plumbing with my brother and then pumping septic tanks and things like that.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody in the world would want to do that job if you had a choice, but you make it happen. If you really want to coach, you find a way. So you just coach as much as you can, you work as hard as you can, and hopefully you find a way that, coaching soccer can support your family, which even to now, I'm piecing it together, right? I mean, I've got Soccer Shots, which is my full-time job. We have 2 to 8 year olds playing soccer all year round.
Yeah.
Coaching at FM, coaching with Syracuse FC still, which is, part of the deal, which gets busy around this time. So it's just constantly trying to find as much as I can to keep coaching.
For you to have Soccer Shots, which you just brought up, Soccer Shots Syracuse, what that's done for you, and to give some people background on the creation, implementation of Soccer Shots for you, because this is something that off the air we were discussing is very well attended, but I'd love to get the story of how this all came about.
Yeah, so I wasn't there in the very first days. So I stepped in, a good friend of mine, Pat, who was an assistant coach with me actually at OCC when I first got there. And the guy who was the head coach at the time, who's a pretty good friend and mentor of mine, Eric Bonnier, his son was doing Soccer Shots. And he had met Pat through that. His son was playing. He loved Pat's energy. He brought him on as a second assistant coach. And again, I was doing jobs that I did not want to do during the day. And Pat was phenomenal. He gave me an opportunity. He said, "Hey, I'm looking to expand what we've got going on. He wanted to get closer to home. He's from Buffalo, so he was trying to get a little bit closer and started up Soccer Shots Rochester, and offered me an opportunity to come on and run Syracuse. So, back then it was like, if we can get 100 kids to sign up, that's fantastic. And it's come a long way. I mean, we've got kids all over town. We're all over Onondaga County. We're into Cayuga County. Hopefully we'll have 900 to 1,000 kids playing soccer this spring. So,
and that's incredible. That's incredible. I mean, you deserve, seriously, kudos for that you have come to that point of, because we all know those days. We all know those days of can I get one person? Can I get 10 people to show up? Can I get 20 people to show up? And you saying we want to get 100, and now you're hopefully going to have 1,000 kids just to be a part of Soccer Shots in Syracuse.
Yeah, it blows our mind every time we look at what we have done the year before and what we're hoping to do the next year. It's like we're never going to get to that, but then somehow we find a way, So it's just getting out there and having really good coaches for the younger age groups, making sure that we train up those coaches so that they have a really good understanding of what we expect, and we're just not rolling the balls out there. We're making sure that the coaches are trained and working with young kids, and it's they don't have to be tremendous soccer coaches, but they do have to be tremendous with working with young kids. So they understand that the experience that you give a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5-year-old it could be the experience that keeps a player playing soccer for the rest of their life versus giving it up after a season or two. So, we really value what we do with the younger ones for sure.
Is there a way? How do they connect? Can they still sign up? What can they do?
Yeah, registration is crazy right now. There's a ton of places that are full. About soccershots.com, and then you'll be able to go soccershots.com/Syracuse if you want to get there a little bit easier. We've got Soccer Shots Syracuse on Facebook and Instagram, so you can go right to those too, and there'll be some links to get you to the website. But yeah, this is, if you're looking for spring, now is the time. Most of those classes are close to full, if not, and so we're looking at opening up some other ones.
Yeah.
We're trying to get back as we do some things in daycare centers and preschools as well. Obviously, there's been a pandemic going on. I don't know if you heard this, but
I didn't. No, there was no stoppage of time. No, 2 years of people, everybody looking like, you know what? The mask that I wore and my skin complexion typically, because I am typically tan, that's my normal, but being Hispanic and Italian, I will tell you that I very proudly feel like I started to look like the Scorpion from Mortal Kombat, which I am more than okay with.
Yeah. No,
So
for sure.
that's my claim to fame of the pandemic, is looking like the Scorpion.
Well, at least you're outside. That's nice. You're getting outside enough.
Yeah.
So there's we were in daycare centers, preschools. We're getting a lot of those coming back now. So maybe you can check out your own school if you've got young ones that are going to daycare, preschool. And if not, talk to your directors. Bring soccer shots to your daycare. We'll come in and we'll do it right there. Save you a trip after you pick the kids up.
Yeah, it's incredible that this has become what it has. And talking about preschools, like getting little tiny, babies to do this thing, to love the game from the beginning of the beginning.
Yeah.
I remember preschool at Gingerbread, and I was a gumdrop. I still remember that because we were named after candy. And I also remember that my best friend growing up, James, they made him a candy cane, and I was a gumdrop. And we didn't know that if we stood next to each other, you'd get named something else. I cried until they made him a gumdrop.
Very catastrophic for you, I can tell.
It was very, it's still, I feel it today. I still twitch a little, when I drive by. But, I was 4.5. So to get them involved so early on is incredible. And I, Corey, I'm going to say something to you. If we can get in a time machine and DeLorean this whole thing, grab Doc Brown and Marty McFly, we don't need Biff. But if we could go back in time in a Back to the Future world, I would love for you to go back and talk to me about soccer at 4.5, because being Hispanic and Italian, there's something in your blood that I realized as I was older, like, I probably could have tried this thing, and I never did. I played basketball. My dad wanted me to play baseball, and I always wanted to play basketball. My mom told me I couldn't play football because she would murder me. So those were my sports. And then I grew up, and my cousins were playing, and I took the soccer ball. We were in the street, and we were down in Pennsylvania. My cousin Christina, I just kind of took it, and I was like, hey, can I just kind of mess with it for a little bit? And I started doing things with my feet, and then I coached later on, and I'm like, yeah, at 5'8", you can be a soccer player wherever. At 5'8" for basketball,
It's a little tougher.
it's a little tougher.
It's a
So
little
I
tougher.
probably should have, met you back in the day. And, met you. Like, if you can go back and find me at 4.5, just hand me a soccer ball and tell me to try it.
It's not uncommon. We all had the same experience because when we were kids, it was like somebody's mom or dad, my mom, had coached my older brother's team, and she knew nothing. That's the truth of it. It's like we all had similar experiences that it was just, hey, let's get mom and dad out there and let's play soccer, and that's fantastic because it gets kids doing something, and there's nothing against that, and there's still plenty of people out there that are volunteering a ton of time and doing some amazing things that are just mom and dad coaching. But we just tried to take it to where, hopefully things are a little bit more formal and a little bit more professional at a younger age so that, we try to retain as many soccer players. There's a huge dropout rate for young soccer players, and probably in most sports, I would imagine there's a big dropout rate. So if we can get them engaged and loving it at an early age, hopefully they'll stick around a little longer.
Shout out to Alex Grigorita, the assistant AD
know Alex.
and women's soccer head coach. And he'd kill me if I didn't say this. 2021 national champion, Alex Grigorita, who will be featured in an awesome special, The Bobcat Buzz, with Brian and Stratton this coming Monday. He just wrote in and said he didn't know that I played soccer. He didn't know that I coached soccer, because I did coach. I coached U12. And my whole plan when I was living in Pennsylvania and I was on ESPN Radio at the time was that I was going to coach the Carbondale YMCA travel team all the way through. I was going to coach those kids from 8 until they were done. And everything was okay leaving when I left PA except for the kids. And for me, I didn't play growing up. It wasn't pushed in my family. It wasn't soccer. It was always basketball, football, baseball. When we were kids, that was the prominent conversation. And so when I started teaching these kids, I was learning and teaching. And I loved being around these kids. We didn't have a name. I gave us a logo. We got a name. We were the Carbondale Pride, because pride in the community, pride in each other, pride is a pack of lions together. So I actually designed the logo, which crazily, the Orlando City SC logo looks
the pride, yeah.
eerily familiar to that actual logo that I made, and we made it years before. And so I had it. I had Coach Dan. There was a claw on the back of mine. There was, for the other kids, they had everything. And that team meant, still to this day, it means the world to me. I remember my goalkeeper. I remember practices. I remember the time that my kids told me, 8 to 11-year-olds, and I want to know if you've experienced this. One day they were unruly in practice, and I yelled. And and eventually they stopped. And they looked at me. And the one kid was like, "Shut up, Coach Dan, shut, you gotta stop." To the other kid. And I looked at the kids, and I just see a bunch of puppy dog eyes, and I said, "What's up?" And they said, "Coach, we have heard you yell in games because you're pushing us and you're teaching us and you want us to do well. You yelling tonight was different." And the fact that they could hear me raise my voice and differentiate between Coach's coaching and we went too far with Coach, that to me was like a moment where I said, I achieved something, right? The difference between you're in trouble and I'm just teaching you. Have you had a moment before where a team knew there's a difference between Coach Fonseca is telling us what's going on and we've crossed a line where we really need to corral ourselves?
Definitely. I think, when I was at OCC, that was quite an experience. You've got so many different players that you see because, again, 2-year program, so you're getting freshmen and sophomores, and then by the time they start to figure it out a little bit, they leave.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that for sure is where my aggressiveness and hostility has certainly shown itself a few times. With the younger kids, not so much. I try the best that I can to keep it positive. As I said, we don't, I'm not trying to drive people away that are 2 to 8. So I don't have too many experiences with those ages that I've had to really get too crazy. But, high school age kids, college age kids, definitely. And they need to understand, going back to what we said, 20 minutes ago, whatever it was, being a good communicator, you have to be able to change what you are doing when you're coaching. And if you see things, no matter what you do, are not getting to where you want it to be, there comes a time where, things are going to get more animated. So, yeah, I think for sure if you would ask the boys that have played for me there, they know the difference between Corey's coaching and getting upset with certain things versus, we better be careful and just not do anything else because it's time.
Well, and that's the thing, you seem like a mellow guy. And it's funny because, some of my closest, nearest, and dearest friends, they're like, I can't picture you yelling ever to me. And I was like, oh, no, I've yelled before. Everybody has a moment, right? But it's, Italian blood runs thick. So we all have those moments where, it's enough. But you seem like an even keel. I'm not somebody who likes to yell. So I think, if somebody was around that with you, knowing kind of your personality, if I was on your team and I was one of the players and I heard you and I knew that was the moment, I'd be like, Coach never sounds like this.
It's true. I do try to keep things, I try to keep things calm so that I can think clearly. But yeah, you definitely lose it at times, and it's you just try to do the best that you can. That when you lose your cool and you're upset and angry and you feel like you want to just throw everybody out of practice, that you still try to find a way to deliver your message so that they understand, we're doing this for a reason. We're not just losing our mind because we're losing our mind. We're doing it for a reason. We're trying to teach something that's just not coming across or stress the importance of the thing that we're teaching. So there's every coach does it. Every coach has their way to communicate and the things that they do, and their players understand when it's time to really focus in.
Yeah, and I think when we come back from this fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, live on site on location at PB&J's Lunchbox, 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York, literally across from Firestone. You can't miss it. It's minutes from Destiny USA. The highway, the thruway, Onondaga Lake Parkway. It is so easy to get to. And, you know, they always shut down the parkway, right? You always go there, and then there's like a cop car on one end and a cop car on the other. I think Pat and Sue would love it if they put a cop car on one end here and a cop car at the other and made everybody have to just stay on this street and come into PB&J's. So if you haven't come here, make sure you come out. We're going to talk about the art of when you think you've lost a practice. How do you get it back? Love to get your thoughts on that. And, of course, we have to talk about the Fayetteville Manlius Hornets. By the way, you're coming into FM at a good time because that logo has steadily upgraded itself, and I really like the FM logo right now, and I grew up liking the Charlotte Hornets, so there's something to be said about that. What I'm shamelessly and not shamelessly asking is, when am I getting my gear?
I'm still transitioning myself. You can tell I have a blue coat on, and then the FM polo underneath. So I'm trying to work on.
Yeah, we can see the FM here. Yep. We got to get you a Hornet.
I'm trying to work on the gear myself still, so it's coming. We're on the way.
Well, FM, listen, put the order in for Coach. We need to deck him out. You need to shamelessly be plugging. We need decals on your car. We need blimps going overhead and whatnot. This is a big day for Central and Upstate New York with you getting this opportunity at FM with the Hornets. We'll be back right after this fast break from inside of PB&J's Lunchbox. We thank you so much for being here. Obviously, throughout the week, our studio partner, Cafe Kubal, and you can order some Cafe Kubal as you're on site, on location here at PB&J's Lunchbox. I'm going to continue to eat this breakfast sandwich, which has been incredible. And you need to know that as you come here and love, and you have been crazily amazing coming here for lunch and just packing the cafe and just giving a fantastic lunch, dinner crowd, of course, ordering on Grubhub, Eat Street, Uber Eats, and DoorDash. Thank you for all you do to support local here at PB&J's Lunchbox, and make sure you come in for some breakfast because this is special. And Pat put some type of sauce on here. This isn't just a bacon, egg, and cheese. There's something happening here. So I really do appreciate the work that they do here, and I can't wait to continue the conversation as we will talk about the art of losing and regaining a practice right after this.
Did you get breakfast sandwich, Corey?
Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. As a patient, what do we want? To be cared for, to be listened to, and to have someone walk us through the process on our path to victory. Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics does all of those things beautifully, with Dr. Mark Petropoli leading the team on 791 West Genesee Street in Skaneateles, New York, located minutes from beautiful Skaneateles Lake. Whatever your injury may be from head to toe, preventative care, rehab, physical therapy, laser therapy, and surgery are all available at Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, where they care about us, they listen to us, and they understand that everyone's path to victory is a little bit different. Let them help you on yours by calling 315-685-7544 to make your appointment today. That's 315-685-7544. And find out more information at victorysportsmedicine.com. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora from inside of PB&J's Lunchbox. Happy to be here with you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Of course, Cafe Cabal, our proud studio partner, and inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. The feature of today is Corey Fonseca, the head coach, the new head coach of the FM Hornets boys soccer team. A lot of stuff to get into. You know that Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora here on YouTube.com, Facebook.com, and MixLR.com are all /WakeUpCallDT. And wherever you're watching and listening, including on WakeUpCallDT.com, we love talking about where sports meets life. And we've discussed a lot of different things. And it's kind of cool that during the commercial break, that's what you said to me. You're like, you you interweave and you never know where you're going to go. So, Our Lady of Pompeii got a big time shout out today. I'm trying to jog Corey's memory. My memory is, I don't know what it is. I mean, I think it's because, maybe Mrs. Kuno, I liked getting the M&Ms during the spelling bees and stuff. And,
I just think it's probably one too many taken of the headers or elbows to the head or something when I was playing that my brain has lost everything before the age of 10 or something. I don't know.
We're going to have to talk about the art of the header because I attempted to learn it, and we'll discuss, but not before we talk about what we were going to coming out of the fast break here at PB&J's Lunchbox. You can come see them Monday through Saturday on 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York, and of course Eat Street, Uber Eats, DoorDash, and Grubhub. You can order from PB&J's Lunchbox, and of course you can come here into the cafe. Thank you for your incredible lunch crew and dinner crew that come flying in here to 663 Old Liverpool Road across from Firestone. And make sure you come in for breakfast as well. The fast break allowed me to finish my sandwich, so I'm good with that. Now I got more energy to rock on. So we were discussing the art of losing a practice and regaining it. When you feel that the team is maybe not focused, or maybe a loss is getting at you more, or maybe just discipline-wise they're not there that day, whatever it may be. Maybe it's getting close to a break where they're going to be on vacation, whatever it is. When you feel like a practice has kind of gone out of control, how do you bring it back?
Yeah, I think it's funny you say maybe a loss has gotten the best of you or something, because my experience is actually, it's probably the opposite, where when you're on a roll and you're winning, that's the time when it's easy to lose focus a little bit. And I don't know, could be, you look at NCAA tournament like we talked about earlier, these big teams that have, the 15 seed, St. Peter's beats Kentucky in the first round. I think a lot of those things, they come from overconfidence and a lack of preparation, and coaches definitely don't don't underprepare, but the players sometimes can be a little bit underprepared. So, and then so I think that it tends to happen that way. Motivation is probably the thing that gets lost the easiest in thinking about the bigger picture. So, I think I've found that sometimes you can think that you're going to work on something, and you can think that your practice plan is good, but perhaps just because of the mood of the team, a bunch of players, you have to switch gears a little bit, and maybe you just have to go a little bit simpler and just try to drive competition. Because the thing that has always worked for me, especially coaching in college, and I'm sure coaching at FM now will be the same, is that there's nothing that drives somebody to want to do better other than playing time. So competition in practice is always going to be the thing that drives players to want to be their best. Having kids that compete against each other, knowing that there's an opportunity for just somebody to step in and maybe take some minutes away from you or start over you or something like that. So I think that's been my experience, is like, how can we create competition? And maybe if the practice plan, maybe it's more of we're trying to teach something, we're working on something, maybe we have to scrap that a little bit and just go and play something that's a simpler game and put some stakes on it, whether it's the team that wins doesn't have to do the running, or something like that just drives competition levels.
I mean, I think that's great. Like you said too, when a team loses, you want to lost to beat you twice. You said, well, it's with winning, right? You go on a streak, you win 10 games in a row, let's say, and what drives them? Playing time and competition, right? If they think they're better than everybody else, okay, well then be better than each other. And I think that's really smart to think that way of, okay, you know what? If you guys think you're all that, then face off. I want to see you. I'm going to split us into teams, and like you said, whoever wins this game doesn't have to run at the end of practice, or have those 1v1s, and look at that really for playing time. Look at who knows your plays the best. Look at who knows your corner kicks and knows what needs to happen. Understand, look at when you have a certain team out there, maybe you're running a drill, that when you have these 3 guys out there, 4 guys out, whatever you're doing at the time, when you're looking at maybe an offensive move, look at the team that actually you don't have to say anything versus the next group that comes up where you have to say, you remember we have to start on this side, we have to move here, we have to shift. It's going to help you as a coach to see where your weak points are and where your strong points are, and it's also going to make that so if they're focused on, hey, we're great, we're awesome, well, you need to know the plays, you need to beat each other, you want playing time, you don't want to run. That's a really awesome way to look at it that sounds simplistic, but it gets lost in a lot of coaching.
Yeah, and players can lose it too, that it's so easy for 18, 19, 20, and then now younger than that, I'm sure in high school, it's easy to lose track of what the bigger picture is. So it's okay that not every single day is going to be perfect. And that's going back to communication and all those things we talked about, that's our job, is to motivate, to communicate, to teach. And if we can do those things successfully, then practices are going to be easy.
Yeah.
But that's the onus. And sometimes if it's not going well, you got to look at yourself too. Maybe my plan wasn't as good. Maybe my way of delivering this wasn't as good today. So yeah, it's not easy to every single day bring it as a coach, but that's what you have to do. I mean, you got to be 100% every day so that your players are getting the most out of it.
Well, and I think what you're saying too, communicate, motivate, and to teach, I think that's beautiful. But like you said, when you were talking about maybe it's your plan as a coach, first thing that came to my mind is your team could run your play perfectly in practice, and they could have it down to a T, but the play may not work in a game ever. Right, so they might know exactly how to run this play, but it's just not happening. And are you that coach that has that giant ego, like many coaches do, where they're just going to keep jamming that square peg into a round hole? Are you going to say, you know what? Maybe it's not working because I don't have the personnel to do it this way. Maybe this header isn't something that I should utilize here because last year it worked perfectly because I had that kid that was 5'11" that could go to the middle, and now we don't have anybody that's that height. So maybe, it's going to take some more time, some more training, bringing somebody else on. There's just little nuances to say, maybe this doesn't work. They could run it perfectly.
And what I love and hate about soccer at the same time is that, basketball, you have your set playbook, or football, you have your set playbook. Yeah. And, you're trying to execute exactly what the coach said. Whereas that's not really the case when you're playing soccer. I mean, the game is free flowing. It's a player's game. So you have to imprint styles and ideas into the players that are out there. But at the end of the day, I have seen players that they come up with something that I would never have thought of because, as a player, I was more of a hard worker and, not the most skilled guy in the world, right? I had to do it other ways. But I find players that are super skillful, and they'll come up with an idea or a way to do something that is even better than what I've ever thought of. So, it's not going to happen as often, but you're going to see that. So you got to trust your players, and you got to understand that they know what the style is that we're trying to do, and from there, they can just put their own creativity and flair on it, and that's when you're really going to find something special.
Yeah, and I look at when I talk about set plays like corner kicks and different positioning and things that you're going to do. But obviously, in the game itself, it's going to, your style is going to dictate where people are shifting, where they're moving, where they're trying to make their points. Because if you don't know soccer well, you can watch the game and be frustrated as all get out. Like, go to the ball. Why aren't you going there? Why are you moving back? Why are you backpedaling? Why did you go forward at this point? I mean, there's moments where I've watched games and learning the game where I didn't understand why was this. Why do you want to play defense? Why are you not on the offensive? Why are you not shifting enough guys over to this side of the field in this key moment? Why didn't you challenge that? And sometimes it's a team that isn't playing that well in the moment. Other times it's a team that has a strategy of what they're trying to do and what they're essentially making you in this chess game of soccer, making you think you have the advantage, but actually strategizing you to be in an adverse situation. Can you speak to that a little bit, where you may coach in a way where your style is to maybe make a team think that they're gaining something, but you're actually trying to pull them into the trap?
Yeah, definitely. I think a good example of that I can use is that this past season at OCC, when we made it into the playoffs, we had a difficult matchup in our first playoff game. Finger Lakes Community College. We had played them in the regular season. Tough game. We had a good result at their place, but we knew that coming back in, it was going to be challenging. And they had a difficult style to play against. In that, for us, we were, I don't know, maybe pretty is the way to say it. We kept possession. We moved the ball quickly. What you would think of when you're thinking of what soccer is supposed to look like, on YouTube or something like that. But there's more than one way to do it. And this other team, they were really effective at playing longer balls and getting balls into the box and being physical and, winning tackles and doing a lot of different things. So, from a strategy standpoint, it was more like, can we get them to try to match what we do, which was maybe not go so crazy and press so high, drop off a little bit, allow them to be in possession a little bit more than maybe what they've done in the past. And, that really worked for us. I mean, we won that game 4-0. We made them uncomfortable, took them out of the things that they wanted to do. And, it's different every game. You hope your plan works. And in that game, I can tell you that plan, it worked to perfection. So, we just made it difficult. So there's always different things you can do with your team, but, playing off of what the other team's strengths are too is important.
Yeah, and we got a message here from Alex Grigorita, who said, good luck to Corey in his new journey with FM Boys Soccer. Corey usually behaves on the sideline.
Usually.
That's what Alex said. What's your response to Alex?
Alex has seen the good sides of me. He hasn't. Alex has refereed some games that I've coached for some of the younger ones. He's coached at Bryant and Stratton when we were, kind of coming up. And honestly, I mean, Bryant and Stratton has some great programs. Their soccer programs are really good, high-quality teams. So
men's team, 3-time national champion, 5-time runner-up. Alex's team, and he played for Nick Dimitrievsky, and who's the men's soccer coach and the AD at Bryant and Stratton. And then Alex winning the 2021, and you'll see in an upcoming video. So in Nick's office, he has all of the trophies lined up, which there's a lot of them. When we were doing like an event, Alex's championship trophy was in the dead center, and then all of Nick's were around it on both sides. And I said to him, I go, I don't know if this was on purpose, but it looks like Nick made you prominent, and put you right there in the center. And then he said, what you don't know is Alex has a key to my office to put it in the front. But, they do it. Brian and Stratton's women's and men's soccer programs have been incredible, tremendous. And Alex said, he goes, I know what it's like to take the bus ride home when you don't win.
Yep.
And then this time around, he says he doesn't remember exactly what happened with the trophy. And I want to go back and check the tape and see him snoring, just like huddled up with the trophy in the back where nobody could touch it for a while.
My guess is there wasn't much sleep, to be honest with you. I think he probably was so excited that it was tough to go to sleep for a day or two. But no, I mean, so Alex has seen me. He was assistant coach with the men's team for a little bit when we would play them. Obviously with the women's program and a club and all these things. So yeah, he's another one. He's a great guy. He's been a big part of the local community since he's gotten here. So yeah, he's doing the same thing. He's coaching young kids, and he's working his way all the way up through college and doing his thing. Trying to make a living being a soccer coach, just like the rest of us.
Yeah, and like we talked about, there's so many different places to go and different things to discuss live here at PB&J's Lunchbox, where you can get your breakfast, lunch, and dinner anytime. You can literally order dinner for breakfast, breakfast for lunch, whatever you feel is what you need at the time. And have you had the grilled peanut butter and jelly yet?
I had the grilled peanut butter.
With
I
the
don't think I
roasted
have, to be
pecans,
honest with you.
Chopped up.
I don't know. I've never been a sweets kind of guy, so maybe that's why. But
Can I throw this at you? Grape or strawberry if you had to pick jelly?
I would go grape.
Why does everybody go grape? I'm strawberry.
I don't know.
Where's Pat? Pat's on the phone. Pat says grape. What does Dawn say? Grape?
It's the original.
Yeah, it's the original, the OG, the original gangster. But, I mean, I don't know. I grew up grape, but I have more strawberry now. But I feel like I'm shifting back to grape. Which is where I was as a kid. I don't know what it is. You know what I mean? It's like everything. And I tell people this all the time. Keep your stuff because it always goes back. Like vinyl records, right? We made them smaller and smaller and smaller and then put them on an iPod, and now people got vinyl records again. And I know for a fact that nothing will ever truly die. So have your own style. And the proof in the pudding of that is when you and I were kids, the fanny pack, right? That was considered so cool. And you go to the arcade, and I had Aladdin's Castle, and you put the tokens in there. And we loved the fanny pack, right? So you have it, you grow up with it. Then all of a sudden, you go on vacation with it, you bring it to Disney. Then it's uncool. When I saw last year that the fanny pack was back, that's justification to me that literally nothing will ever die.
Yeah, we're all about the fanny pack in my house. We, my wife.
Is that what you were saying? Because when I said the fanny pack, your mom started talking.
Yeah,
I go, what is she
we're
saying
all
back
about the
there?
fanny pack. My wife's got like a fancy, it had to be super expensive Nike one that she could be cool wearing, but it's still.
She has a Nike fanny pack.
Yeah, it's still a fanny pack, but it's she's got it all over the place.
What do you have?
I am not. As
not
into
the fanny
pack as the rest of the family.
Okay. There's the backpack, right? When you wanted to be cool and you didn't want people to know, so you put the fanny pack in the back so that when you were walking toward people, they didn't know that you had it, and you could quickly unbuckle it, grab it on the side, and put it under your jacket. So your wife rocks the Nike. She's proud of it.
She's got the fanny pack.
Do you do the backpack? Like if you're on vacation and they make you wear one?
I do whatever I've gotten for free is pretty much my strategy. So
Okay.
I'm a soccer coach, right? So most of the things I get are like gear at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
So honestly, about 80% of what I own has been given to me through coaching.
Okay.
So whatever I've got, that's what I tend to go with.
So you became a coach to get free clothes.
A 50-50, yeah. The coaching part is great,
Yeah.
but it was really about the wardrobe, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that is true, though. As a broadcaster, you become friends and build relationships with people all over. And I always tell them, I say, hey, listen, I'll shamelessly plug, wherever you guys are at. So send me some gear and I'll rock it. And I got sent Western Michigan, Colorado State. If you saw the boxes that came to the house, you would think I was getting recruited.
Yeah.
I got a Tulsa box that had like everything that they had. What'd you say? But Western Michigan, I got the coaches like clothes and all that. I'm still waiting. My guy DeAndre Smith, former running backs coach at Syracuse, who is now the running backs coach of the New York Giants, and we did that exclusive conversation. DeAndre, the male, albeit Corona, is not that slow. My Texas Tech and my Giants gear that he owes me, I'm still waiting. So I always call him out, and he knows I'm going to call him out on live video and audio, and then he'll talk to me about it. But it's his fault. If he sent it to me, I wouldn't have to call him out.
Yeah, I mean, we joke that it's Christmas in August. I mean, that's what all the kids come in, and they're like, I cannot wait to see what my package is this year. You know, the shirts, the training shirts, the backpacks, the warm-ups, all that stuff. I mean, that's the best time of year right there. It's Christmas in August, getting all the free gear.
Alex said he thinks it's time to test Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora soccer knowledge with more challenging questions about soccer, apparently. I don't know what Alex is trying to push me into here.
He's
but
trying to get your coaching expertise from earlier. You talked about your coaching experience. He wants to test it, I think.
Well, you know, as I told Nick Dimitrievsky in our special Bobcat Buzz this week, like, I didn't know anything that they know. I don't know anything that you know. I was studying. I bought a couple books. I was watching games. Like, I didn't have a tactic, and I wanted to develop over time. So, to me, I didn't really have a plan in place. I just kind of knew that first and foremost, my kids were taught to cheat. When I had the kids, they were taught by the previous coach to cheat. And I had to unteach them that, they said, well, I was like, well, what's the game plan? What do you do? And they're like, well, coach's plan was always that we slide tackle and we always go cleats out for the shin. And so, like, that was their training. That was the game plan, was just make sure that you maim the other players to the best of your ability. So they didn't have set plays. They had set illegal moves. And I had to unteach them that. And then they told me at one point, they're like, Coach, we won a lot more when we got to cheat. And I was like, well, if we have to rip this thing down and build it back up and we only win a few games, we're going to do it right. So I didn't have, to Alex's point, I didn't have a set plan. I didn't have like a Nick Dimitrievsky take from a bunch of different coaches. I didn't have a Corey Fonseca, like, here's my whole game plan and this is how we're going to run this, that, and the other. I was learning on the fly. So let me ask you, do you have a plan that you want to implement at FM?
Yes and no. I think what's important is trying to teach players to be confident in how they play. But at the end of the day, it is results based. You have to have success. So there's player development from the younger kids, but when you get to varsity aged kids, they and honestly at FM in particular, there's an expectation to win.
Yeah.
So I think we have to take the strengths of the players that we have and utilize them the best that we can. But ideally, players are confident in possession. Players are comfortable with the ball. They can play in tight spaces. That they can be creative. They can do the things that will help them no matter where they go. But at the same time, there may be days where we have to be a little bit simpler, like I said with the practices, right? Maybe we have to be a little bit more direct. Maybe we have to be a little bit more pragmatic with the way that we approach it based on who we're playing. So, teach in many different ways, but winning is also something that needs to be taught as well. So there's certain ways that you can manage games. There's certain ways that you can, understanding if you're losing or winning or tied and what you need to get out of a game. So, there's a lot of different things that they're going to have some understanding on, but hopefully we'll be able to expand a little bit, and help them wherever they go. Hopefully playing in college. But yeah, maybe club, maybe something like that too. So
we're going to take a quick step aside here from PB&J's Lunchbox on 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York, across from the Firestone and so close to Onondaga Lake Parkway, Destiny USA, the highway, and the thruway. No excuse. It's centrally located. Get yourself over to PB&J's Lunchbox and enjoy what it is to support a local business with fantastic flavors and things that and then totally out-of-the-box stuff. That's why we love to know what's in your lunchbox, because it's so different.
I like the jalapeno popper grilled cheese. That was my move last week.
The jalapeno popper grilled cheese, okay. And see, in that, in and of itself, take the grilled cheese, mix it up a little bit. And if you know anything about Pat Orr, she likes a little bit of kick, a little bit of flavor, and she always wants to know how the chili is. Like, does it have enough spice? Does it have enough flavor? Does it have enough to it? So there's a lot of good that can come from this. We actually ran a challenge, too, on my social media, and Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, and Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. And we put it on the story on Instagram. In chili, croutons or crackers?
I don't think I've put croutons or crackers in my chili before, to be
You
honest.
haven't done either?
Maybe oyster crackers. I'm not sure, but
Those are the ones I'm thinking of.
yeah,
I
I
think
guess
it's
if I
crackers
had to
hand
choose,
down,
if I had to choose, I would definitely go crackers.
Yeah, I would never go croutons. They belong on a salad. That's just my thing. But they give you both, and they let you choose here at PB&J's Lunchbox. So be greedy and have both. We'll take a step aside. When we come back, I want to know what attracted you, Corey, to Fayetteville Manlius' program. We'll talk about the Hornets right after this fast break.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
So is daughter.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
Back here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of our Travel Cafe Cabal studios, and of course live on site on location at PB&J's Lunchbox. We're here at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J is open Monday through Saturday for your dining pleasure. And of course, for those of you that love, like my girlfriend, is DoorDash all day, every day, all the time. It's only DoorDash. It's DoorDash for breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack. It doesn't matter. Bring it to the house. So DoorDash, Eat Street, Uber Eats, Grubhub, all available here at PB&J's Lunchbox. And I think DoorDash owes me some type of money for saying DoorDash, 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 DoorDash. But it's true. I mean, I knew very little of DoorDash. Now it is like such a part of my day that I'm used to it now. So I think, I mean, what do you think? I mean, it's obviously with the last 2 years, things have changed, and, you know, Zoom wasn't a thing, DoorDash and Grubhub, I mean, they were around, but it wasn't a, you know, as prevalent. What do you think about the fact that literally if you want groceries, you want dog food, you want something from PB&J's Lunchbox, you know, you need somebody to pick you up your medication at the, I mean, whatever it is, I mean, for the most part, it can be delivered to you. What do you think about that?
Yeah, we utilize grocery pickup and delivery all the time. I mean,
What is that, the Instacart stuff?
yeah, Instacart, or, you know, some of the grocery stores, I think they've got their own little services and stuff. You know,
Yeah.
if I'm fully honest, that's definitely a my wife situation. So I'm I'm a lot less on the grocery shopping. But no, I mean, I don't know that we've used a ton of DoorDash and stuff, but Zoom meetings, you know, that's been like crazy the last 2 years. We've done a ton of that stuff.
Well, DoorDash will it'll open your eyes to like how much you don't know about your local community. Like, oh, that's here. Oh, that's here. Oh, they have that at that place. So, you know, PB&J's, it's great because you can order it so easily on everything. But, you know, Uber Eats has now they've bumped up. Grubhub's been around forever, and one of my interns also worked, for Grubhub for a time. So I got to do like a run with her, and it's insane to see like the stuff that you have to pick up and the requests and all of that. So it keeps it interesting. It makes it fun. But, every time I'm here at PB&J, somebody's picking up an order. So, and it's funny because you would think like, oh, like an order for Steve, and you're like, are you Steve? And it's like, no, I'm Phyllis. I'm picking it up for Steve, because now people do that. And it's so funny because DoorDash must hear me talking. They just sent me a notification. So as I'm speaking, DoorDash is like, hey, thanks. But, it's makes it easy here at PB&J's to come and get it. So for you, as you're out there coaching, like you said, your wife is handling a lot of the groceries. She's doing a lot of stuff. Coach's wife definitely has to be very understanding of time.
Yes, for sure.
So FM becomes an opportunity. Bring me into why Fayetteville Manlius is attractive to you, attractive enough to leave OCC where you had success.
Yeah, I guess I'll start. I loved OCC. To be fully transparent, I loved almost everything about being there. It's a great place. You get to work with a ton of students that from different backgrounds. You're impacting them at a really crucial moment in their lives where they're just getting out on their own. So, I loved working with that age kid. I think what's important is that thinking about my family, traveling, recruiting, 5-hour bus rides, off-season stuff, all of those things that college soccer is a little bit different than high school soccer. That definitely was a big factor. But there were really not, I don't think there was any other program in Central New York that I would have considered leaving OCC other than FM. I think FM it's a bit of a special place in how much success Jeff was able to have, from the soccer program perspective, but also the academic reputation, the reputation of other teams that are there at FM. It's a great place, and I'm really happy that the opportunity came up. It was definitely surprising. At first it wasn't something that I considered, and then after speaking with some people and speaking with Scott, the AD over there, it opened my eyes to what it could be. And, I'm really excited now that we're about to get some things going. And I just wish we were closer to August because I'd love to be coaching, which is my favorite part. But, yeah, again, there wasn't a lot that I disliked about OCC. It was more, my daughters are 6 and 8. How can I spend a little bit more time with them? How can I make just a few more practices? How can I do things that are a little bit better and be a little bit more connected to Central New York even than when I was there. So that's really what made it happen.
And for you said there's no other place that you would have considered leaving OCC for. So when you make a decision like that, to go to FM, and you talk about, like you said, the success and the history and everything that led into that, I want to go a little bit deeper into that because it's a big statement to say that FM is the only one that could have stolen you away. So even more so, why?
Well, again, success is a big one. How they value their athletics in their student experience. There's just a 30-year plus tradition of what FM soccer is, and even before that, I just learned this the other day, but I'm only the 3rd head coach in FM boys varsity soccer. So it's obviously a place that people go and they never leave. So, it's.
Are you prepared to do that?
I think so. I don't know. When we get to the coaching, I love coaching, and I'm very confident in that. So it's a tough time of year for all of this, to be happening, but I just wish we were closer. But at the same time, I know that we're going to get those kids off and running with the things that I learned coaching in college. We're going to try to make that program as close to a college program as we can, understanding the needs of high school students. So, we'll get started with some off-season conditioning, some strength and conditioning stuff, some off-season play dates, camps, summer leagues, all that stuff will get up and running, and then we'll be ready to go.
Corey Fonseca here with us on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and Corey being the new boys varsity soccer head coach for the FM Hornets. Like you said, try to make it as close to a college program as you can. Was that something that you feel attracted FM to you, that you could take their already success and bring this collegiate element that you know what it takes to be a college student athlete? Do you feel like that was something that attracted them to you?
I think so. I think that there are quite a few players that are going to come through that program that are going to want to move on and play at the next level. And, understanding, again, OCC, it's all about what you do when you're there, recruiting, having success. But then a big part of that job is also helping players move on from OCC and go to the next level. So, there's experience with the recruiting process. There's experience with the pushing them and helping them be recruited process. So there's a lot of different things that I hope that, had the people at FM interested in me. But, I can't speak exactly for what they were thinking. But, yeah, I think I hope that is the case.
What was the experience like with the job becoming available and the timeline and kind of what happened en route to you getting the job?
Well, I didn't know exactly that I was going to be interested in it at first. So it did take a little bit of convincing to get me past the initial barrier. I didn't plan to leave college to go coach high school. It didn't cross my mind at first. So it did take a little bit of conversation with the athletic department, Scott in particular, who's the AD, just explaining more about what it is and what we are able to do over there. So it was a short process once I got to that point, but it just took a while to get me to that point. So I, initially was not 100% sure that it was something I'd be interested in, but after, kind of exploring it a little bit more, then it was a pretty quick process of, speaking with them, going through interview process, and then moving on. And then actually, I've known for much longer than everybody else, because I had to go through the process of working in New York State schools. You have to get fingerprinted and you have to do all these things. So, I've known for some time, but going through that process was interesting. So then I had to wait, a month and keep it a secret kind of until everybody knew. But yeah, so it was slow in the beginning. Then it was fast moving, kind of, okay, here's this opportunity. Am I going to take this? We've only got a short amount of time to decide if this is what is good for my family or not. And then once it happened, it was, again, wait around, and now let's wait for a month to see if we can tell anybody about it. So it was quite a process.
How did you keep the secret?
I don't think I did, to be honest with you. I think a lot of people knew, but I said this in the beginning. I'm a reserved guy in general, so I don't think I go around town talking about myself very often. So, it wasn't that hard for me to just keep doing what I was doing and not talk to people. So, yeah.
How did your wife do with keeping it a secret?
Yeah, I think she's the same way. We're
Okay.
She's introverted as well a little bit, so not terribly difficult for us to just keep doing what we were doing, and we're busy. I have a 6 and an 8-year-old, so we got both full-time jobs. We're busy people, so day to day it's like just do the next thing.
Did you tell anybody and swear them to secrecy? Did you
I
tell
did.
them?
Yeah,
Who'd you
I did.
tell? What was
So,
your list of people that had to know?
A couple mentors. I mentioned the name Eric Bonnier earlier. He's somebody who really helped me as a young coach. There's another guy I coach with, Yarrow. He's helped me a ton growing from, in the last 5 years. I think I've learned from him more than anybody else. So he's the president of Syracuse FC.
Yeah.
And, he's been an incredible resource for me, helping me throughout all the things I've done in the last handful of years. So there's those people. There's my family. My mother over there. She obviously knows. She's like the mayor, so she's got to know. She's the one that it's hard to keep a secret for.
Do you think she let
so.
it out? Do you think she told anybody? She said she didn't.
I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't think so. I think she did okay, but she probably snuck it out there to a couple people.
Did you tell your brothers? Did you tell them?
My brother, yeah. So my brother also, my older brother, he helped me kind of make the decision a little bit. both of my brothers I'm very close with.
Yeah.
My older brother's 3 years older than me, so
Yeah.
we grew up doing everything together. And then my younger brother is quite a bit younger. He's almost 10 years younger. So it's different than the relationship with my older brother, but it's more of like a, I don't know, sometimes feels like father-son type of situation, So
Yeah.
it's we talked to both of them. I talked to both of them about it, and yeah, my older brother helped me quite a bit with, just working through the positives and negatives and what it would be, and yeah.
What were the biggest challenges in leaving OCC to say yes to FM?
Leaving the players. That was the number one challenge. I mean, I had an incredible group of kids, and we're coming out of a pandemic, so I had a huge group of freshmen.
Yeah.
And keeping it a secret from them and then telling them was one of the most difficult public conversations I've ever had. I mean,
Did you bring them all together?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I brought
So you did
them in.
coaching the right way, because some coaches, they call it the bottom lines, where where somebody finds out on a ticker, or they find out in a news report, or they find out because the coach will send them a text message. But you actually brought the team together, which shows your character. I would imagine that was probably one of the most the hardest conversation that I would imagine, one of the hardest ones that you've ever had.
Yeah, it was really tough, and I think what helped a little bit was that the administration at OCC was really helppful in keeping me on up until now. So I'm still helping with OCC. There's a new coach in place, and I've been doing the best that I can to balance helping and staying out of the way.
Yeah. Can you shout out the?
Yeah, Mike Drake. So he was our women's soccer head coach.
Yeah.
And actually, who I'm super proud of is my assistant coach, Sean St. Dennis, who has been my assistant since I took over at OCC for the men's program, is taking over the women's program.
So keeping it in the family.
Yeah, so I'm super excited to see what both of those guys do. But Sean in particular, I mean, he's helped me since the first day I got there, and he's been a perfect balance. I really would have loved to steal him with me, to be honest with you, but he's gonna have a great opportunity here to put his own stamp on things, and it's definitely something he can't pass up. So yeah, really excited to see what those guys do.
When a coach shifts between girls and boys or men's and women's back and forth, is it a unique transition? Do you feel the transition at all? Because I've talked to coaches, and not just with soccer, but with basketball, whatever, that they might have coached men's basketball for 20 years, but they're open to shifting to women's basketball. And I know people that are going the other way of like, yeah, I coached women's basketball, had success, now I'm going to go back to the men's side. I used to coach the men's. So how do you look at the fact of men's and women's soccer? Is there an adjustment, or do you not feel like there's an adjustment?
Yeah, I think there is. I mean, there are people that are naturally inclined to be a little bit better one way or the other. I truthfully do think that my skill set lends me to coach boys and men a little bit better than coaching girls and women. But I think that certain people just have what it takes to be a little bit more successful in one or the other. And when you transition, I do think that, like we talked about earlier, the communication skills, the things that you develop over time, I think there's ways to be a little bit more successful based on who you're coaching. So, Sean, as he takes over, he is a fantastic girls coach, and he's a fantastic boys coach too. But I think it's going to be even a better fit for him than what it's been all those years. And, he's coached girls at all different ages, and in club soccer, so he's been coaching girls 8, 9, 10 all the way up through high school. He's done a ton of stuff, so I think he's going to do really well. And then again, with Mike, who's going to be switching over from the women's program to the men's program at OCC, he was a college player, and he was a big part last year of the scramble of everybody coming out of a pandemic. He helped us quite a bit, volunteering time to do some coaching with us. So I think that was valuable for him, and us working together with the men's and women's programs gave him an opportunity to step in and run a session here and there, and be part of our game day staff. So hopefully he can keep things rolling in the right direction, and I'm very confident that he will. And he's even got a little bit more bubbly personality than me, so he might even have some more success in recruiting. Who knows?
That coming from Corey Fonseca here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. inside of PB&J's Lunchbox, 663 Old Liverpool Road, right across the street from the Firestone, and right by Onondaga Lake Parkway, the Thruway, the Highway, and Destiny USA. So make sure you make it over here for breakfast, lunch, and dinner Monday through Saturday. We'll take a step aside for a quick, fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. When we come back, we have some rapid fire fun to have here, where you got to come up with some questions and put me on the hot seat, and I'll do the same thing. And we will also continue the conversation about the future of FM. And as only the third coach in the history of boys varsity soccer at Fayetteville Manlius, what you feel maybe as a badge of honor to be able to be one of such a tiny group that get to lead Fayetteville Manlius and to be the one that does it in the future. So we'll have all of that coming up right after this on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of PB&J's Lunchbox.
In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly ONSITE broadcast centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have at any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
This is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, you can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
The Millhouse Market, located on 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York, is worth the drive every time. Make sure you make your way out to the Millhouse Market every Tuesday through Sunday for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and make sure that you download the app on the Google Play or Apple App Store. You'll have everything at your fingertips with the Millhouse Market and the opportunity to see all of their homemade breads, desserts, quinoa bowls, rice bowls, the Cobb salad, the breakfast pizza. Like, every time I talk about it, my mouth just gets very hungry. So you have to make your way out to the Millhouse Market today. They are an incredible team of people with a general store with local products from local companies to pay it forward. They also have a drive-through window to grab your food and go. And their indoor dining menu has a change every single week. The bistro menu offering something new. So the Millhouse Market, whether you're 30 miles away or right down the road, is worth the drive every time. 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York. We'll see you there. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, inside of the Travel Cafe Kubal Studios with locations all throughout Central and Upstate New York. PB&J's Lunchbox is where we're hanging out today. You can grab some Cafe Kubal as well at this location, 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. And Monday through Saturday, PB&J's Lunchbox is your Grubhub, DoorDash, Eat Street, and Uber Eats dining preferred choice, as well as the fact that you can obviously come here and enjoy the awesome lunch crowd that comes through here and dinner as well. And you can be part of that breakfast crowd that comes here and grabs those breakfast sandwiches, as well as everything that they have to offer here at PB&J's Lunchbox, centrally located to make it easy for you here in Liverpool. So with that being said, my guest all throughout today's broadcast, it has been the Corey Fonseca takeover. It's been all about Corey, all about FM, all about OCC and the transition, as well about, soccer and soccer shots of Syracuse and everything that you've been able to do. So before we get into rapid fire, we have, it's been a pleasure that, you've been a guest on my show, and we spent, maybe a half an hour on the phone, but to do an entire show dedicated just to you, Corey, and just to your history and whatnot, I want to thank you for that, because as your mom said off the air, this may be the most you've spoken ever.
I said I'm a reserved person. I try to keep myself out of the spotlight, but it's impossible when I get you for 2 hours here.
Yeah, and the thing is I'm throwing you in the spotlight because I'm being a precursor to the fact that at FM, at a prestigious program, you're going to be in the spotlight. So are you ready to take over a program where we saw, as you made mention of, you're only the third coach in the history of varsity soccer on the boys' side at FM with the Hornets to be their head coach, Jeff Hammond, the second of those three coaches after 35 years of coaching. 15 sectional titles, and a record in 35 years plus of 535 wins, 111 losses, and 34 ties. Are you ready to take over a prestigious program where Jeff has left? He has not left you the keys to the car. He left you the keys to the Lamborghini, in my opinion.
Well, I think I can even do this math. 35 years of coaching, and I'm 34. So that means Jeff took over before I was born.
You're -1.
So yeah,
I was one. I was 1 year old.
So yeah, it's Jeff did an amazing job, and the coaching part of this, I am so excited for. You know, it's an opportunity. Like I said, I wouldn't have left for just anything. There's a reason that, you know, I was interested in Kona FM. The prestige is there, the tradition is there. You know, the players want to play year round, and they want to continue to win. And I'm sure the players are feeling the weight as well. You know, here's somebody new. We've done all these things. There's been so much success. You know, how do we keep that going? So I think we will keep things moving in the right direction. I'm really, really confident in that. It's just, you know, getting through this moment of everybody goes, hey, you know, this guy was here forever. What's the next guy going to do? I think once we get past that initial shock, that it's gonna show. We're gonna be in a good place.
Yeah, Alex says no pressure at all for you, but you know,
not all of us can be national champions, Alex.
Yeah, well, you know, sectional and state is within the works of the future. So when you look back on Jeff's career and everything that he's done, how do you want to thank him and respect the history that's been created as you pave your own path?
Yeah, I think respecting it is important. It's just make sure that you don't take things for granted. You know, make sure that you go in and you still work as hard as possible. And I've always been a hard-working person. I don't mind working long hours. I don't mind putting time into things. So not taking it for granted that it's just going to come easy is going to be important. Yeah, it's gonna just do the things that I've done well when I learned at OCC. Do the things that I've done when I've learned through other people, Syracuse FC, you know, time at SUNY Cortland. So, you know, take a little bit from each place and just build on the tradition that's already there with the things that we know, you know, we can be successful doing.
Do you have a style that you want to implement? I know we talked about, you know, the style and kind of understanding what's going to work for you and whatnot. I mean, I know you got to get around your guys and really spend some good quality time, but do you have a desired style of play?
Yeah, you know, ideally it's possession oriented. You know, if you think about the teams that maybe some people will know out there, I've been an Arsenal fan my whole life, which when I was a kid was a great thing because they were the top team. Lately has not been so much the case. This year they're doing very well, but there's a way that I think is the proper way to play, which is that, you know, I said this earlier, everybody's comfortable in possession. Everybody's able to make quality decisions with pressure. Everybody's able to want the ball instead of being, oh my gosh, here comes the ball type of players. So, you know, if you can build a group that, regardless of position and formation and, you know, whatever it is that you roll out there, if you can have enough players that are confident and comfortable, then I think you're going to do well offensively. And then defensively has been always, when I was coaching in college, the first thing that we have to spend a lot of time on is teaching high school players how to defend, and not only how to defend individually, but how to defend as a group. So, you know, hopefully we can take some steps in a positive direction defensively also. You know, I've been out watching these high school games. It's hard to teach 15, 16, 17-year-olds some of these concepts, but, you know, that's the plan, right? The plan is that we'll expect them to have the same understanding that the kids had that when I was coaching at college. So there's going to be a big learning curve, but I think, you know, as long as we keep the discipline year after year and teach the same principles year after year, then, you know, our program will be known for certain things, which is comfortable in possession and great defensively.
What makes you believe that FM can handle a coach such as yourself that is college oriented and knows what it takes to win that? When when you implement college to high school, what makes you believe that these teenagers at FM specifically can grasp that and live up to that? You know, because you're gonna essentially be asking more out of them than maybe another coach would, because you understand what it takes to play collegiately and be successful. So when you're implementing that, what makes you believe that FM's program can handle a coach that is going to say, hey, listen, this isn't just like, hey, we're out here in high school and let's just see what happens. This is, I want you guys to be prepared that you can all go play college ball.
Yeah, I think, again, going back to why I wanted to go to FM in the first place, there are year-round players there. So there are kids that are playing for, many different clubs. There's some kids that have spent some time traveling and playing, on even higher level academy teams that maybe will be back in the mix. So it's a place where there's an expectation for success, and the players already know that, and they commit themselves to it year-round. So, I know that I want those players to play year-round. I want them to see me as much as possible, but there's a lot of other good coaches that they're going to see too, coaching them in club and different places. So, they're going to be committed to playing soccer year round, and maybe they'll have some other things. Maybe there's a couple players here and there that are on the basketball team, the track team, the band. Sorry, I'm laughing at somebody saying no Arsenal in the comment there.
Yeah, Manchester all the way. And it's funny. Alex tested my knowledge and my ability to name teams in Europe. He quickly found out that he needed to back off of that because I know what I'm doing. But I'm also, listen, being Italian and Hispanic and family coming from Italy and Spain, and family still being there, we know in Spain and probably in Italy as well, I'm spoiled because I got Italy's World Cup in 2006. I got Spain's in 2010. I got a bunch of Euros from Spain. So, and I got Italy during the pandemic. I got what they did in the Euro. So I got to enjoy multiple championships in the Euro world and in the World Cup world. So I have been outrageously spoiled, which means I keep an eye on my teams. And if Italy and Spain are playing anything, if there's any teams in Italy and Spain that are playing, if I see, my Barcelonas or my AC Milans and whatnot, any competition that has to do with those two countries of my heritage, I am always in for that victory. So honestly, if you go across the board, we talked about you love all sports, not just soccer. So Cowboys, my secondary team, grew up, right? They won championships, but I wasn't like a fan at the time. I was just like a friend of a fan, so I can't really take those. But my Raptors have won in the NBA. My Ducks have won in the NHL. Syracuse basketball won in 2003 in the NCAA tournament. I've gotten to see my Arizona Diamondbacks win in 2001, and Italy and Spain have done what they need to do. So I am now patiently waiting for my Jaguars. But for a kid whose teams are all over the country and outside of the country, I was told there's no way that this team and that team, and why would you like that team? I only have really one more team I'm sitting on, and I just became a Charlotte FC fan because I wanted to be a fan of no bandwagon. So Charlotte FC just started, got to see their first game. I don't know where they're going to go. I hope it's only up from here, but I have seen almost every team I love win a championship, so I feel very spoiled.
It seems very lucky for you. I think I've been a bit the opposite.
Tell me you're a Jets fan.
No, when I was a kid, I was lucky because I'm a
Cowboys
fan,
yeah.
so I love NFL just like most people. But I'm also a Knicks fan and a pretty passionate Knicks fan who watches maybe more Knicks basketball than you should. And that's been tough. That's been pretty tough.
Can I hit you with some history?
If you want.
What was the first NBA game to ever be played? Who was it between?
I'm guessing it was the Knicks, since you're asking me that right now.
New York Knickerbockers and the Toronto Huskies. Because a lot of people don't know the Toronto Raptors. There was an original franchise in Toronto called the Huskies, and the New York Knickerbockers won the first ever NBA game.
That was the highlight, apparently. No, so
you had Ewing and Houston and
no,
Childs.
I love that moment. Yeah, those were my favorite teams. Allen Houston's always been my favorite player. I don't know why, but he just had an old man's game or something. I don't know. It was like he hit a nerve.
He wasn't great. He was really good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he didn't do anything like tremendous, but he had his days. And it's funny, like, not being a Knicks fan, I know, like, that whole Knicks team. Which is, I feel like a lot of people could say that. Even if they didn't like the Knicks, they knew everybody on that team.
Yeah, they were. And maybe it's just the age that we are. You know, I mean, they hit us right when we were kind of coming up into the 90s there.
They were
and
good.
They had some quality players, and they overachieved at times. And, you know, so there was...
yeah, Latrell Sprewell.
Yeah.
Was that was post-chokeout or pre-chokeout? I think it was...
Good question.
I think it was...
Post,
no, that
I
was...
believe.
I think, yeah, it might have been post-chokeout, yeah. Because Latrell was an interesting mix. Charles Oakley getting kicked out of MSG. How about Patrick Ewing returning to MSG, coaching Georgetown, and somebody stopped him because they didn't know who he was and they didn't want to let him in the building?
I do remember hearing that story.
That happened during the pandemic.
Something else. I mean, it just goes to show you where they're at right now as a franchise. But no, so I've had very little success with supporting the teams that have done well. Syracuse has been my savior, you know, loving Syracuse basketball, but, you know, we're even at a point now where who knows what's going to happen. And I know I love Jim Boeheim. I think he's a great coach.
46 years.
I think there's a lot of people that give him a hard time. I always think, you know, what could happen when he leaves, and what the worst case scenario could be is we could be a lot like Boston College when.
Listen, Jim Boeheim, he is a stubborn old mule, but I'll tell you, the day he's gone, Syracuse fans are going to be losing their minds.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't care if you love him or not that fond of him. I've known him, you know, interview-wise for about a decade now. I've sat in his office with him. I've taken him aside at a press conference. We have spent time talking a lot, and I would like to think there's mutual respect there. And do I agree with every call he makes? No. Do I agree with every coach every time? No. You know, and maybe they don't agree with my take on something as well. So, but the thing is, as much as I don't always agree with Jim, I respect him. And I know that no coach has ever won over 1,000 games. Yes, I said over 1,000 games because you can't erase history. No coach has won over 1,000 games at one institution. Coach K, people forget, was not always at Duke. So nobody's done it in one place except for Jim Boeheim. He'll be the first coach and only coach to ever get to 1,000 wins twice. And, you know, in the same respect, the day that he's not coaching Syracuse, people are going to have to get okay with it because everybody wanted Mike Hopkins. And remember, he coached during Boeheim's 9-game suspension, and people treated Mike Hopkins like he was roadkill. And I was appalled by the fan base at treating Mike with such utter disrespect when all his job was to take Jim's playbook and keep it going, and he wasn't even actually coaching the way he wanted to. So, you know, by the way, he went on to become Pac-12 Coach of the Year his first 2 years at Washington, and any type of struggle he has now, I don't want to listen to it, and the negativity about it, because Washington was a nothing program before he got there. So, you know.
And he can recruit. He can definitely recruit.
And he still recruits Central New York.
Yeah.
So say what you want to say about JB. We don't always agree on certain plays, but the day that he is not here, Syracuse fans are going to have to figure it out, because a lot of the coaches that, you know, could have come here, if he had retired sooner, they're all gone. They're all locked up somewhere else. So
yeah, we'll see what happens. It'll definitely be interesting what direction they go in, but. No, I appreciate the time we have with Jim, because it's been my whole life again, you know. So it'll be interesting when he leaves for sure.
Yeah, and I like the fact that my upcoming special with Dan Frisina, he decided to come in here wearing the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. So I love the fact that hat is on, and that my connection to Coastal Carolina is actually even outside of Danny. One of the quarterbacks at SU, Austin Wilson, went down there, and I know some other pieces of that. I know Coastal Carolina is also a desirable team to try and steal out of the Sun Belt right now. So.
Yeah, we had a transfer from OCC that went and played at Coastal Carolina as well. A good soccer player, Connor Pugh. So yeah, connections everywhere.
There's nothing wrong with shamelessly plugging Coastal Carolina, especially now when it's like 4 degrees outside in Syracuse. Yes. So we are going to run the gamut with rapid fire to round this thing out. I'm here with Corey Fonseca and myself, Dan Tortora. Corey, the new head coach of the varsity boys soccer team with the FM Hornets, only the third coach in the history of FM boys soccer. And beyond everything, before any game is played, I'm entirely incredibly proud of you, and I'm thankful that you gave me unprecedented, unedited, just 2 hours to sit down and actually peel back who you are and what you're about. So more than anything, I appreciate that you've always made time for me, but this in and of itself is, a time capsule. So thank you.
Yeah, not a problem. I'm enjoying myself too. I'm surprised actually, but I am.
Hopefully not surprising the company you're keeping right now. But I'm surprised I'm having fun with you, Dan. But, so my last piece of the rapid fire here that we always do on the show, we'll do 2 questions apiece, and we can ask each other anything. There is no predetermined questions. We have no idea what we're going to say. I want to go away from the world of sports and make it about anything. So I'm going to let you go first. You can ask me whatever you want.
You said this earlier. Some people feel the pressure asking questions. I got to come up with something. I probably should have been planning this whole time.
It's really funny that I think people would be nervous to answer them, but I've had multiple coaches say that they're more like concerned on finding what to say as the question.
Yeah. So okay, I'll stick with.
So Danny's here early. Danny, start thinking, because he knows all about this.
I'll stick with the local question. So you mentioned before growing up in Central New York, going to Our Lady of Pompeii.
Yes.
Tell us some more. Maybe some of the people who listen to your show more frequently, but tell us some more about the rest of your upbringing in Central New York.
So, born and raised on the north side. My dad still lives in the same house. My mom lives in my grandmother's house. It's like right down the road. And then my other grandma's house is right down the road a little bit more. Like everybody was in 7 minutes of each other. So Lynn Court Bakery is the best bakery ever created by man. And I don't care what anybody says. I will fight people on that tooth and nail. And I also love people that moved out of the area that will tell me that Lynn Court Bakery is the best bakery still. So love that. Love the bread. Love the Kiglies. And I love the fact that only if you're within a 20 to 30 mile radius, you know what a Kigley is. Outside of that, no one on this planet understands. Oh, you mean an eclair? No, I mean a Kigley. So there is something about it. Kiglee, I believe is how you spell it. And I still love them to this day. So grew up on the north side. Went to Gingerbread, as I said. I went to Our Lady of Pompeii. It's when I started playing basketball at Pastimes when I was 7. And on North Salina Street, and then I played at Our Lady of Pompeii, and then I went to Christian Brothers Academy. My dad gave me 2 choices. He said CBA or Ludden. He went to CBA. I actually wanted to go to Grimes because I wanted to be Mr. D, because he went on to Grimes, and I wanted him to be like Mr. Feeney in real life, where Feeney like followed them through. So I wanted to go over there, but I ended up going to CBA. I ended up playing outside of CBA for St. Joseph's. Our JV team set records. Our senior varsity team was the #1 seed. We had a fantastic time. I got to play basketball really my whole life. And then I went on to Marywood University, which is almost a straight line 2 hours south in Scranton. So growing up in Syracuse, I came back here to build my company. It's blue collar. I always think about the Macklemore line where he says, I got my city right behind me. If I fall, they got me. I take that to heart. I love Syracuse, and I think we're a tough town. I think we're a resilient town. I think we're a town that can take so much before we, collectively stand up. I like that I feel like we still, as much as we're a city, we're a town, in the sense that we care about the things that matter. I love the people here. I love the business people here. I love the coaches here. Danny and I will be talking in a little bit. I didn't say this to him yet, but I'm so happy for him, and at the same time, really personally sad because, somebody who knows what Central New York is like you do and like he does, when you guys are coaching, you coach differently, and only you can know what that means. So I think we're spoiled. I think there's really great people doing really great things. I don't think they get thanked enough, so I try to do that as much as I possibly can, but I love it here. I love my childhood. I love my parents. I love my grandparents. And I love the fact that I wear Syracuse very proudly on my chest because I am so grateful to come from a town that will never, ever, ever give up. So
yeah, and big enough to have everything you need, small enough to know that you can find somebody that you know and will support you wherever you go. So yeah, I love it here as well.
I say It's big enough. Okay, how would I say this? It's small enough to be able to get to know a lot of people, but big enough that I don't have to run into any of my ex-girlfriends. So that's what I would say. So my question to you, Corey, is, and now knowing God's humor, I'll bump into 3 of them today. But in my question to you, Corey, what do you love about the community, and what has kept you here?
I think a big one is family. This is where I grew up. This is where most of my family is. My brothers have packed up and shipped out of here, but still they're always coming back as much as they can.
Can we shout out their names, please?
Yeah, Zane is my older brother, and Dallas is my younger brother. And, I think I made a joke about this earlier, that Zane and I had a lot to do with naming Dallas, Dallas. So
yeah. I just love that he's named Dallas. It's such a cool... Yeah, and if you ever watch the movie Four Christmases, Vince Vaughn's named Orlando, and he has a brother named Dallas, so immediately that brought me to that. So you have a connection to Jon Favreau, who has directed The Mandalorian, Iron Man, and has been an actor forever. I think he was the one named Dallas in the movie. So
that is a good movie. I don't recall, but anyway, so my family is here. I met we both went to SUNY Cortland, so I met my wife not too far away.
Yeah.
Her family's from Watertown, and we want to be close enough to raise our kids where we have some support. We want to be in a place where we know where to go, who to be around. We have some help. My mom helps get kids off the bus a couple days a week, so we need the support, right? I mean, it's I just, this is where I am comfortable. This is where I want to be. I keep going back to this, but why would I want to go change and learn someplace new when I know everything I need to know here? I'm a reserved person. I'm not going out of my way to make new friends, Dan. So it's
just in the line of Drake, no new friends. You don't.
Yep.
You got to keep what you got.
I found the ones I like. So,
and it takes too long to break in new ones sometimes. So. That's what I told my best friend. I said it takes too long to break in a new friend, so we got to figure it out.
Yeah.
So. But in 12 years strong, shout out to Evan, my brother. What's your second question for me?
Let's see here. Let's go food related, since we're at PB&J's right now.
All right.
So if you had to choose, this is a weird question, breakfast, lunch, dinner for the rest of your life, what would you choose and why?
That's so not kind of you. But I feel like I would choose breakfast because I'm a breakfast for dinner guy. I love the first thing that I ever made, like I ever cooked for myself or for anybody, was pancakes. So I love blueberry pancakes. I love chocolate chip pancakes. So now I do my blueberry chocolate chip mashup, and they're fantastic. So I would say breakfast because I love breakfast sandwiches. I love mixing and mashing and putting avocado on there and doing some different things. Love bacon on mine. Love a little kick to it, a little smokehouse feel to it. And yeah, I mean, I think I could live on making homemade pancakes, so I'm going to say breakfast.
Okay.
I'll stay with food for you. My final question here. If you could only have one meal for the rest of your life that your mom cooks, one meal that she would make, and you had to eat it for the rest of your life every day and never get sick of it, what would it be and why?
Oh my goodness. This is more pressure than anything else that you've asked the rest of the day. Let me see here. She does make good, like, sauce and meatballs.
Okay.
So I think I would have to stick with that, and I'd be able to vary that into some sandwiches and pasta and things, hopefully. So I'm cheating the rules a little bit, I think, with a couple different meals, but I'd go pot of sauce, homemade sauce, and with some meatballs and sausage in there.
Well, the thing is if you have a family member, any family member, that can make good homemade meatballs, you hold on to them. Because my grandma used to put her meatballs in the oven, fry them a little bit, and she'd take them out with like a little stick and hand it to you, and you know her meatballs were good because there was no sauce on them, and I would literally eat them like a lollipop right there on the stick. I would eat them in the kitchen, burning my mouth like crazy because you wanted them as soon as they came out of the oven.
Yeah, I think that's a part of the deal there. I can have the meatballs without the sauce, with the sauce. I can have the sandwiches. So I'm skirting the rules of question, but yeah, that's what I would go with.
We'll allow it. You have a last name that ends in a vowel, so we'll
Yeah.
allow it. So, with that being said, for Corey Fonseca and myself, Dan Tortora, we want to thank you for joining us from PB&J's Lunchbox, and we want you to stay tuned on YouTube and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, because we have the exclusive sit-down on-site conversation with Dan Fresina as he has finished his time at Bryan and Stratton after bringing the team to the first ever national tournament for men's basketball and starting the program. He joins us here in just a little bit. But I do want to give a special thanks and let you all know for listening to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every Monday through Friday from 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on YouTube.com, Facebook.com, MixLR.com, all /WakeUpCallDT, as well as on Facebook.com /LiveNowDT and on WakeUpCallDT.com. Once the shows go live, you can search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on MixLR, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, Podbean, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. And a special thanks to all of our Central and Upstate New York partners and beyond. Cafe Cubal, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Avicoli's, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Pizza Man, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Mod Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, Millhouse Market, Chick-fil-A Cicero, and Chick-fil-A Clay, Mother's Cupboard, Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, and of course the fantastic people here at PB&J's Lunchbox. And we also want to proudly remind you that Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It spins up all day, every day here with the Lemoyne College Dolphins, and we want to let you know and remind you that every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time is Dolphin Time. Every first and third Wednesday is AD and DT with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora. And every second and fourth Wednesday, the Dolphin Dive dives into the stories of why Lemoyne was chosen by coaches as well as student athletes, future Dolphins, alumni, and staff members. Find it all at youtube.com /WakeUpCallDT and on the Lemoyne tab of WakeUpCallDT.com. And always get more information at LemoyneDolphins.com. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is also the proud multimedia marketing partner exclusively of your Marywood University Pacers. It is Pacer Pride every single month of my alma mater, and you will see Pacer Pride special edition episodes entitled exactly that, Pacer Pride, every Friday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We get to tell the stories of the president of Marywood as well as the executive director of athletics, Pat Murphy, coaches, and student athletes. Get those shows at youtube.com /WakeUpCallDT and on WakeUpCallDT.com's Marywood tab. And as always, go to MarywoodPacers.com for more information. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Bryan and Stratton College Syracuse Bobcats. It's Bobcat Buzz every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You just saw our Nick Dimitrievsky special, and we'll be sitting down with Alex Grigorita, who I am not going to answer his final question. I'm going to make him have to ask me that on air together. It is a difficult question, and I'm going to phone a friend, and I'm going to ask Corey for some help on it. So I'm going to wait on that, Alex, but thank you. The Bobcat Buzz here with us every single month with specials from the fantastic coaches and student athletes as well as administration at Bryan and Stratton College in Syracuse. Get more information by going to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. And, of course, get all of our specials on youtube.com /WakeUpCallDT and on the BSC SYR tab on WakeUpCallDT.com. With that being said, for Corey Fonseca and myself, Dan Tortora, inside of PB&J's Lunchbox, find us on Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, Twitter at CallDT, Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. And the ingredients to success, proudly brought to you by Avicoli's, that you typically hear on Tuesday, will be coming up in a special video on all of these social media outlets. For Corey, for FM, for the future of boys soccer with the Hornets, shout out to FM. I'm excited to come out and see you and be out at your games. Corey, thank you for the time, and I hope you had some fun speaking more than you've ever spoken.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. I appreciate it.
All right, well, we'll talk with you all soon, and we'll be back very momentarily as we get to have a show that I'm calling very ceremoniously Dan Squared. It's coming up right after this on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Be good.